Let's go back about 50 years to 1968. Terry Patten was a 20-year-old man in Ohio, and he was drafted into the US Marines, and he was shipped over to Vietnam. There, he drove a tank and did whatever the people in combat did. And as he was there, I'm sure he saw his friends, people he was in training with, and people that he didn't know get shot or blown up or killed in horrific ways. And he was in a tank, and I guess that kept him safe because he's alive today. He's my mentor. He's my speech mentor. And he has guided me in my speaking career. He's given me advice. He's a terrific guy. Now, he could have been killed in Vietnam if his tank was blown up, if somebody opened the top of the tank and shot him, if the camp he was sleeping at got hit by a grenade or anything, or a chemical bomb. Anything could have happened, and I'm sure that he saw iterations of that happen to the people around him. Decades after the Vietnam War, maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later, he encountered a Vietnamese family, and they invited him to their house, and they fed him, they talked with him, and he was so touched at their kindness and their generosity that these people who, in the past, that group of people were the enemy, were so tender to him and so caring. It brought him to tears because he had faced and lived and experienced the inhumanity of war, where the purpose is to eliminate the enemy and the enemy's purpose is to eliminate you. He felt the tenderness that was unseen on the battlefield with tanks and guns and corpses and everybody running around. On this Memorial Day, I hope that, before I get into that, his mother is alive today. Imagine if he had died 50 years ago. His mother is 98 years old. Imagine if he had died 50 years ago, and she lived the last 50 years without him. My life would be different if Ty died in the Vietnam War. And all of our lives are different in ways that we're not going to know because so many people died in the Vietnam War. 57,000 Americans and many more Vietnamese. These are all individual stories and individual people who can contribute to the world, who can live beautiful lives. And so many of them were taken by war. So many of their graves are in Arlington Cemetery and scattered throughout the world, wherever they may be. This Memorial Day, I hope that we can create a mentality where we see the humanity in the other, in the enemy, before they become the enemy. Where we have a tenderness and a sharing and an exchange of culture, of humanity, before we become so at odds with each other that it resorts to war. I haven't been on a battlefield, but I know some who have. A lot of my friends, my older friends. And they have told me some bad stories. I hope in the future, Memorial Day is something that is there to commemorate those who died in war in the past, not ones who die in war today still. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others who would like it too.